What is going on, my Guardian gamers? Is I, Birdman, back with another Destiny 2 build. Today, I'm going to be showing off the insane freaking buff to the shards of Galanor and how you're essentially able to get unlimited supers with this setup. Now, before I get into the video, know you can follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Give a thumbs up on this video, comment down below, really helps out the algorithm, but also let me know something you're interested in seeing, whether it is Hunter, Titan, or Warlock. Subscribe and become a member to get your name at the end of the video. Now, let's jump right on into the setup. Now, we always like to talk about the exotic for this setup, and that's obviously going to be the Shards of Galanor. This just got an absolute stupid buff to it, essentially, because it got another part of the exotic added onto it. Now, it reads, throwing knife final blows decrease the cooldown of your super. Now, that might sound simple, but it is absolutely stupid for Solar Hunter because of the fact that you're constantly able to keep up powered melee attacks while you are radiant because of one of your aspects. Now, we'll get into that in a second, but the second part reads, hits and final blows with Blade Barrage will return super energy after the super ends. So just chug your Blade Barrage, make sure you're hitting as many targets as you can to at least kill, but just make contact so that you're able to get a little bit more of that super energy from it. When it comes to the subclass setup and everything you're gonna need, obviously Solar is important, and you got to put on Blade Barrage. 7 minutes and 35-second cooldown on that. It is pretty much every 2 minutes you're gonna have a super ready to chuck. Feel free to throw it as much as you humanly want, because again, as long as you're constantly killing like little rank and file enemies with your knives, you are going to be able to keep up the super short cooldown for the super. A great way to also help out is Gambler's Dodge, since whenever you dodge near an enemy, which is like a 15 meter radius around you, so you have a lot of like space to do it, you're going to get a recharge on your melee ability, so you're going to get that knife back. For which knives you should be using, I recommend the knife trick just because it has a really nice cooldown, and the fanning flame of it actually is really nice to hit multiple targets. Now, I will say proximity knife isn't an awful choice. Definitely don't do weighted knife just because that gross cooldown, and lightweight knife isn't going to do much for you. Now, grenade wise, I recommend healing grenade just because I think you're getting plenty off of the solar weapon buff essentially that we got from this season, but also for the fact that the knives are going to take out pretty much all the rank and file enemies. You're also able to stack up ignitions and stuff like that as well. So this is just a great way to ensure that restoration and cure for yourself. Now, when it comes to the aspects we're going to be using, knock them down is probably the most important one. It's actually kind of a twofer here. One, our Blade Barrage is going to get more projectiles because of it, but also while we are radiant, which we're going to constantly get from not only our artifact, but also a fragment that we can use for the setup. While we are radiant, final blows with your equipped throwing knife fully refund your energy, so you're able to keep up that constant chucking of your knives. And for the second one, on your mark, I think is just an important one, just because it's going to help keep up those like good stats for you, and also whenever you use your dodge, you're going to get those maximum stats for it, but mainly for the fact that it gives us a third fragment slot unlock. When it comes to those fragments, what you're going to need, Ember of Torches is a very important one, because whenever you get those melee kills with your knife, you're going to become radiant. Now, you are going to be able to stay pretty consistently radiant from the weapon from this setup, but since this is a knife throwing setup, I think it's important to have at least the throwing knife part of it on there. Ember of Empyrean, solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant. Now, we're going to be able to get restoration from something else in the setup, but again, being able to just constantly chuck knives to keep those up is really cool. Ember of Singeing, your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. Now, no, again, part of our artifact, and I'll talk about this here in a minute, we're able to keep up that scorching. So literally just shoot an enemy, make sure that they're scorched, and just like sit back for a second and watch your dodge come back almost instantaneously. It's really nice for keeping up that constant flow of knifing. Ember of Searing, defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. Now, the fire sprite's going to be kind of important for something else, but that's just really nice in general to just get a little bit more melee energy, especially if for some reason we don't kill a target with our knives. And then Ember of Mercy, when you revive an ally, you and the other nearby allies gain restoration, which is cool, but we're mainly going for that fact that fire sprites will now give us restoration, so that's just a really important part of like the healing aspect of this build. Now, I'm not really too hung up on any certain weapon for this setup. I've been really enjoying the Zalo's Bane, just for the fact that it's just really juicy, especially in a unstoppable hand cannon meta, solar weapons being so juiced up, and also for the fact that this actually got kind of a buff to it. The weapon itself, its animation for its reload was all messed up, and now it's fixed, so yeah, it's just a little bit more juicy now. But that something like the Emirate from last season or Callus Mini Tool are great legendary options, and know that other things such as the Monte Carlo the Prometheus lens, or even a Tommy's matchbook could be pretty beneficial. When it comes to the mods and everything you're going to be needing for this setup, first up on your helmet, a harmonic siphon is really important just to get those orbs of power from our kills with our solar weapon. Dynamo, just to get some super energy back whenever we dodge around targets. I would say this is a bit of a flex. You could probably swap that out for a heavy ammo finder if you really want. But hands-on is a definite, just to help stack on top of that Shards of Galanor, ensuring that we're getting plenty of super energy back on our melee kills. On our gloves, a heavy-handed, so that we're getting those orbs of power on powered melee kills. Do know that that is going to be on a cooldown now. So make sure you're stacking up some of these other mods we're going to be talking about to ensure that you're getting plenty of orbs of power. But a grenade kickstart's really great for taking advantage of those armor charges and getting our healing grenade back as fast as we humanly can. And then finally a focusing strike to get some more class ability energy whenever we get a powered melee attack. On our chest piece, 2 concussive dampeners for some damage reduction, and then a charge dub for extra stacks. Legs, go for a stacks on stacks to take advantage of those fire sprites and orbs of power, and then an elemental charge so that you're getting those armor charges from those fire sprites. And then finally on our cloak, a Reaper, so that whenever we dodge, we're going to get an orb of power whenever we get our next weapon kill. Again, another one that's now on a cooldown, so make sure you're kind of timing that well with your heavy-handed bomber, so that we're getting a cooldown to our healing grenade whenever we dodge, and then a powerful attraction to pull in all those orbs whenever we dodge. Now, when it comes to the artifact, first off, I've only gotten to the 4th slot right now. Definitely need to get Kindling Trigger. Radiant causes solar weapons to apply Scorch to unscorched targets. All you have to do is just shoot them while you're Radiant and they will immediately be scorched. That's absolutely huge. Definitely grab that from whence you came to get that damage buff on taking and scoring combatants. Flint Striker, so that we're getting at Radiant whenever we get rapid precision weapon hits or final blows on targets. And then I actually went with a Wish into Being to just take advantage of the fact that we will have our super a lot with this, and we're going to be able to get those orbs of power because of it. So that's just a really nice thing to stack on top of that. And then I also put on that Revitalizing Blast, so I'm doing a lot more damage to champions whenever they are weakened. I always like to talk about how this setup is going to match against champions and everything. When it comes to the barrier, all you have to do is be Radiant, so you're going to be able to constantly keep that up. For the Unstoppable, that is going to either come from our ignition effects we're going to be able to constantly make, or also just put on an Unstoppable hand cannon. And then finally for Overload, there's nothing in the solar part that's going to affect this, so I would say either get some type of stasis weapon to slow enemies, or just match it with the current artifact mod. Thanks so much for watching this video. Hope you guys really enjoy it. Make sure you are, again, liking the video and commenting down below. That helps us absolutely so much in the algorithm, especially when the season has just started. But also just let me know something you're interested in seeing down below, whether it is Hunter, Titan, or Warlock. But thank you so much for all the help. Again, guys, we are almost 10,000 subscribers on the channel. I'm going to be giving away some copies of the final shape whenever that happens. So make sure that you are subscribing and becoming a member to get your name at the end of the video as well. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great night, day, whatever it may be.